line on the ballot for me. Oh, so hungry, but I'm belly full. Yo, the food program, your tool, misguide your school, so elite can still rule. Keep it on the cool, overthrow from within. World deep in sin, blood been shed, a beast this lead. I fuck this lead at these corporations, let me face the money raise and take back nation from the people who control the sheep. Free the people, we the people of the United States, but we ran by snakes who make tax breaks to fatten their estate while we march and debate, march and scream. This ain't my version of American dream. So welcome to the new world order. Constitution getting shorter, freedom at the border. Welcome to the new world order. Constitution getting shorter, freedom at the border. 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 You are now under martial law.
We are rolling. So what's up, man? Greetings and salutations to everybody out there in the universe. You were tuned into Poem Radio. This is Dialectical Dimensions. Today in the studio, in the house, we got Mr. Teyechea. Introduce yourself to the people, Rene.
Teyechea, the young communist.
Oh, he's just straight up coming out. Political affiliations.
Marxist, Leninist representing. Proud Marxist, Leninist existing in the heart of the empire.
There you go, man. That's who you are.
Working class American, trying to get by just like the rest of us.
Right on. So yeah, man, like, you know I spoke with you before about if we would make this little podcast about an issue like Palestine, and I had wrote some stuff out, man, but it's so long that I got to do that separately. Like I started writing about what I thought about it and all this. I'm not even finished. So let's just chat, man. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think
what's on your mind,
our
man.
conversations from before, just winging it, have been some of the most depth, just from us having conversations like this, just non-written. What's on my mind? Well, the election right now, Kamala and Trump. As we were saying before we started recording, I think the lack of how the pressure that the media hasn't been giving Kamala, which I do give the our wing. They gave her that softball interview, but give Trump his wins. I mean, guy call a strike. He's on a multiple podcasts. Once again, they don't really pressure him, but give the dude at least credit for, he went on Lex Fridman, which is a popular podcast. Theo Von, he went on.
Did you see that Theo Von one, dude?
Yeah.
When we started talking about cocaine?
that was pretty funny.
Fucking hilarious, bro.
Talking about cocaine with a U.S. president. He's like, oh shit, had me up like an
I
hour.
was trying to read Trump's face to see, like, okay, like, is he feeling guilty right here? Has he done it? He don't want to admit, like, how, because he's kind of started to ask him, like, well, how's it feel? And, like, he just got into it, and it was like Theo Von kind of got into details a little bit, and then just got at why he had the problem with his addictions and shit. And Trump just sitting there kind of weird looking, man. That was funny, though. I caught a little bit of that, too, bro. That was crazy, man.
And for a man who's never sincere, I feel that conversation, especially when they're talking about, like, substance abuse, and Trump was saying how his brother had dealt with substance abuse.
Yeah.
I feel like that was the most genuine, sincere Trump will probably ever get. So that conversation was nice. Of course, I don't expect Theo to press him on difficult questions. Lex Fridman was a big disappointment. Never challenged him on his lies, which is why.
I didn't see that one, man.
Yeah, he just let Trump go on with his lies, and I was surprised and disappointed by Lex. And then he hasn't really been challenged. Like I said, I give him credit where his interviews are given. He wasn't challenged until the debate, where he was able to ramble on about ridiculous topics such as eating cats and dogs. Immigrants coming and eating cats and dogs.
That's all they're running on, man. Bad immigration policies and inflation. Which I thought Kamala like tore him up in the sense where she talked about, hey, like, you killed this bill that was a bipartisan bill. That was a very right-wing leaning bill. For, in my opinion, on the policies and stuff that Republicans should have loved what they were getting passed, dude.
Yeah, they should have, and I think the Democrats and Kamala did good by pointing that out. And that's which is disappointing. I mean, they're as scary and ridiculous as Trump is. At the core of a lot of these issues, they really don't differ.
Yeah.
I think that it's just the personality that they don't. I mean, you got the Cheneys now going to Kamala, and the Democrats welcoming them with open arms. I mean,
for sure.
And that's why I think the Democratic Party, we didn't leave them; they left us. When I say us, I mean young people. When you're welcoming the Cheneys to your party, you got to question.
Well, they've always been more right-leaning, especially the Biden-Harris administration. So, I mean, I don't think they've ever left the left as far as like I think you represent the hardcore, true leftists in this country, where the Democrats have never.
But they're anti-war. I mean, even though they voted, a lot of them, Biden and Hillary voted for the Iraq war. There was still that anti-war.
Well, they put on that persona that they were, dude. But look at how many.
But now the persona's not even there. Now it's like, hey, we're more pro-war than
you guys.
Than you guys. And like Trump,
Goddamn.
like I said, them attacking Trump for wanting to do a peace deal with Ukraine, and they want to continue to amp that war, which Trump, like I said, give a win-win, where he's like, they're going to lead us to World War III. He got in there, and like I said, I think even with the, he's so unpredictable, we don't know with the Israel-Palestine, but he loves getting all the credit, so I think he would try to get a deal done.
Or he just lets Netanyahu
either way,
man.
But at least we know, like right now,
which will be worse. I think will be worse, man. I mean, I gave her credit during that too, because she did talk about she said the words two-state solution, and I think that's again, it's is it promises? Is she gonna stick to it? Are they gonna go going forward? Do they understand that they should have, under the Obama years, under this Biden years, even Trump, dude, he was kind of trying a two-state solution. It wasn't with the Abraham Accords and all that bullshit. Like they were actively engaging in the Palestine-Israel issue. But he opened up another settlement, Trump Heights. Like the way they were going at it was totally biased. Not to say that the Democrats ain't going to be biased towards and give Israel the upper hand, but I think the word, when she said two-state solution during that debate, like I think that's where the focus has to be now.
Well, I think that's all rhetoric, and I don't think I don't think a lot of the youth and the Arab vote are buying rhetoric when we have a genocide taking place. I mean, she said she knows what to say. She says the right things. Just like when she told them let her speak, and she realized that was horrible to say. So then 2 weeks later, she's like, "Oh well,
she turned it around."
Yeah, she turned it around. Yeah. She's a very smart politician. So but she's full blown. They're arguing about who loves Israel more versus who's going to hold them accountable and do the embargo.
But do you think that she would be better than Trump?
Of course. If Trump was in there, he would
think there'll be more slaughter under Trump, or
of course. But I think and strategically, for someone who has never voted, and if I had voted once, actually, I voted Jill Stein, but never voted for the two major parties. This election really made me consider strategically. Even if I would vote Democratic, it wouldn't be because they align with my view of the world, my morals, my beliefs, but looking at it strategically, right? Who can we push more? Where can we get more wins? Versus the Trump administration. We know how brutal domestically, internationally they're going to be.
Yeah.
We can move the Democratic Party, but at this point, I just can't. And I understand. I mean, there's a lot of progressives and lefts who are making that decision, and I don't consider them sellouts, because when you're really objective and the nuance of it. But I also feel the left has, the so-called left, the liberals, have been disappointing in just how defensive they've been towards Kamala. I mean, AOC These last couple weeks, it's been such a disappointment. Have you seen the attacks on Jill Stein, the AOC? Oh, dude,
What's she saying,
she's been coming after Jill Stein, saying that she's never won an election. She only comes around every 4 years, this and that. And some of her critiques have substance. It's like, hey, I didn't even know Jill Stein ran like for governor, and she ran a couple other positions. She has never won an election, and there's substance to what she's saying, but you don't bring that energy towards the Democrats who are carrying out a genocide. You were at the DNC saying, lying and pushing these lies that they're working behind stages to get a deal. But then you have the energy for a third-party candidate that is running on issues that supposedly you align with. Like, why don't you bring that energy that you had toward Jill Stein towards Kamala? Like,
yeah. No, dude, it's crazy, man. Like, all the undemocratic things that Democrats are doing as far as, like, suing. So that did you watch RFK's little speech he made right before he when he announced it? I honestly thought like the first little half of that had more substance than the whole DNC put together. Like when he kind of like broke it down, how like unless you have millions and millions of dollars, and how all these third-party candidates are getting sued to get off ballots.
They are,
and with Jill Stein, with Cornel West,
Claudia Karina, the socialist.
All of them, how they're having to fight the Democrats. And what's stupid about it, why is the Democrats even wasting time and money? Because those people, most leftists to that degree, like the Greens and the communist, what's the girl's name that's running? Carino?
Claudia,
yeah,
the Party Socialism Liberation.
People for Cornell, they're not gonna vote for Harris Waltz. I don't really think so. I don't. They're just hoping that they would come to some moment where they're gonna go for the lesser evil, but they're not going to. So why are they putting all this energy and effort into what is it? Like just dismantling what they're trying to do, man. Democracy, yeah. In a way, they preach about democracy, but then they're suing people to get them off the ballots. Dude.
Well, there is no democracy. I mean, on the left, we know the elites came together to make deals behind the scenes to support Biden. This election, I mean, there was no open primary. They were scared. They chose. When I say they, I'm talking about the big donors that really control the party.
Yeah.
That were sitting on the DNC, the elites that were sitting in the top of the DNC looking down. They're the ones that really call the shots. They're the ones that pick that. So the irony of them saying Trump's going to ruin democracy, and Trump has called it out too. Like he's like, yo, they pushed Biden out, and I really feel they did when he got sick with COVID. I don't know. If they showed up,
what happened at that point? Huh? They're just manipulating. He was all in bed with his headache.
Or they just threatened him, like, "Hey, we're gonna push the 25th Amendment. Kamala's gonna back us."
Damn, dude.
Am I pronouncing it right, Kamala? Because I know it's big.
Be careful.
I don't want to get canceled for my
cancel for that, bro. I don't know.
Yeah, dude.
It's what is it? Kamala, right?
Kamala. Is it Kamala?
Miss
Harris. Respectfully, I'll say
Miss Harris. Right.
And even the other day, dude, Jill Stein went on Breakfast Club, and this commentator, Angela Ray, like she's a Democrat, and she was just attacking Jill Stein, and it's crazy to see, like I said, whether it's AOC, whether it was on the Breakfast Club.
They feel threatened, dude.
But just like look at the candidate you're defending, and like, is she better than Trump? Yeah, but she doesn't represent what I truly believe are working class interests.
Yeah.
If she did, then she fairly should have won the Democratic primary. And for them just to be it's like Obama 2.0 again.
Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what it is.
And I can't,
like I said earlier, it's symbolic. Like the symbolism that she brings is a much better look, and it's a much better representation for our nation at this point in history.
And I agree, but I think we're past.
But there's a lot more going on, man. You know?
I mean, that's just symbols don't put food on the table.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Symbols don't create jobs. Symbols don't stop wars. So it's the symbols don't get real wins. And I think, as fascism is growing in this country, we have to look at the Democratic elite that really didn't allow true democracy on their side. So when it get they're adding fuel to the fire, because not only true democracy and with the incremental things they did do during their administration, but not really giving true wins. Medicare for all, raise on the minimum wage. Like I said, the issues with Ukraine, the issues with Israel, like the failures, I should say, at that, not issues, the failures at those two policies, makes Trump appealing. Even though the dude's gonna be worse on him, you're not bringing any substantive to the voters. I mean, I'll send you a clip. They ask Kamala, like, they'll ask her on policy issues. Like, they ask her, I forgot about it was something on the economy, and she was just like, oh, well, I'm a working class woman and I was raised in
middle class.
Identity politics. Once again, identity politics.
Trying to relate to middle class.
Yeah, trying to relate. And it's like,
she's not middle class no more, man.
No, definitely a working class. She said she was raised as a working class, but it's like she's not. I guess call it strike or strike. Like the right says, she doesn't answer questions. Where Trump does, I mean, they're horrible, stupid answers, and sometimes, most of the time, they're conspiracy. When you look up the substance of these answers, but like they're trying to protect Kamala so much until the election.
Oh yeah, dude. Even during that debate, and I said this to somebody the other night. I was like, they both evaded questions. Whether it was Harris, when they asked Harris, when they pressed her about how are you going to differ, how are you going to apply pressure to Netanyahu, and how will it differ from Biden? She totally avoided the question. She went into the United States has to be the most lethal military force in the world. She went into she avoided the question, man, like not giving any breakdown. And granted, that was when she talked about the two-state solution. Like, we have to focus on a two-state solution, but how? Like, how are you going to apply pressure to Netanyahu? Because I truly think that I think Netanyahu is just punking Biden because of who he is in this administration. I don't think the U.S. I think people get it twisted in thinking that the U.S. You hear people talking about the Ronald Reagan phone call when he called Israel and then got them to stop a ceasefire and all this shit. But they don't. But you got to look more into that. It was like, yeah, they did that, but Lebanon also allowed American troops to go and occupy inside of Lebanon at the time. There was other things that Israel got that was like, okay, this looks good for us too. And like, Biden can't just be like, okay, we're gonna stop sending weapons and you guys are gonna stop. It's not. It's gotten to a degree where it's like, they're like, fuck the U.S. We don't like you guys. Yeah, even if you don't give us our weapons, we can still commit whatever towards these people without the U.S.'s help. So. And that's why it was a crucial question, because I wanted to understand, like, how would you apply pressure to Netanyahu? Like, you could say, oh, yeah, we're going to do an arms embargo. Because a lot of people think arms embargo is going to solve it. I personally don't think that will stop Israel. So I want to know from all these people, like, how are you going to get them to stop? And not some bullshit Trump, like, I'm going to go in and negotiate a deal. He always talks about negotiations. You know
Trump
says
he's gonna let him finish the job.
Yeah, finish the job is the first thing, dude. But like, none of them are giving answers, man. Like clear, even simple answers, man. Like, what can we do to apply pressure to stop that bullshit, man?
Well, I think in politics you got to look at people's actions. Well, in life you got to look at people's actions, right? What they say, right? And Democratic Party and the Biden administration has shown us where they stand on this issue, and now that we're pivoting to Palestine, they're full-blown Zionists, they're full-blown imperialists, and Israel represents a big interest for the empire, and why they must maintain it. I think if they stop the arms, Israel probably would fall in a month. And
you really think that?
I truly believe that. And we're the reason. That's why, as Americans who are on the Death Star right now, we're on the bad guy side, man, and we need to realize, like, hey, these children that are getting slaughtered, all on our tax money. And like, I heard people on the left talking about we're one-issue voters. Well, it's not one. Genocide should be the red line. I'm not a one-issue voter, but a lot of these same people, if you point out one of their issues, like let's say, for example, on gay marriage. If Kamala and Biden did back gay marriage, would they vote for him? No. So how are you criticizing the Arab vote that when their brothers and sisters and their family is getting slaughtered with our tax money? And then we have the students, peacefully protesting, and look how the state represses and treats them when we're supposed to be, one of our values and principles we pride ourselves on is the right to protest, the right to assemble peacefully, and yet we're not allowed that, and we're protesting what? The slaughter of innocent civilians.
Yeah.
So I think the Democratic Party has shown us where they stand on the Zionist state, and the rhetoric is just to look nice, but I think the same policies continue under Harris administration that were under Biden. I think it's at a slower death. It's fascism, two sides of the same coin. Obviously, Trump would be quicker domestically, internationally, but as someone who's principled my beliefs, even strategically, I could say strategically it would make more sense, but then at the same time, and like I've told you before, when these policies are carried out by Democrats, a lot of the liberals are silent, and I've seen it firsthand. But when those same policies are carried out by Trump, they're in the streets, they're hashtagging, they're, you know what I'm saying?
They don't pay attention.
They don't pay attention. They go to sleep. And a lot of the Democrats are worse. They're able to get away with murder. Biden actually more immigrants have came in under the Biden administration, but he's deported more than Trump.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you don't hear that issue on the mainstream news, and the right wing, of course, won't acknowledge that. They want to critique, Harris and Biden, like they're just letting these refugees come in and give them
borders
guns.
All wild, everyone's taking over.
The hysteria and fear mongering. But if you look at the actual facts, I mean, Biden has been more right wing than even Trump has, and so as a principled person, I just can't honestly vote for the other side of fascism light, especially when I look at it through the vision of an internationalist. To my brothers in Palestine, my brothers and sisters in Palestine, I stand in solidarity. Free the Congo, free Sudan. So, to me, I just look at it through the lens of how Martin Luther King looked at it. Justice for everybody or justice for nobody.
But here's my question.
Yeah.
When I asked, do you think it'll be worse under Trump if more Palestinians, because we'll just stick with Palestine right now, if more Palestinians are going to be slaughtered under Trump, and Netanyahu will be given just free reign to do whatever, there probably won't even be any attempt to ceasefire this and that. Let's say, bottom line, more Palestinians die. Wouldn't it make more sense strategically right now to get Harris Waltz in there, see what they attempt to do, or are you just so, you have the lack of confidence in them that you think it's going to be exactly what it was now? More death doesn't matter.
I mean, what has Harris? Besides,
well, she's the vice right now. She can't. She's not
besides
involved in a lot of shit.
The rhetoric. What can you show me that should give me hope towards that? What can you show? I mean, to not even allow a Palestinian to talk at the DNC. You're not even giving us the bare minimum.
Yeah.
So
Biden did cut back them 500-pound bombs for a minute there. They started to do the whole arms embargo kind of thing on a certain type of bomb, not that. And like I said, I disagree with you. I think even if today you got somebody in power in the United States and they were boom arms embargo on Israel. Israel produces a lot of their own weapons that they can still strategically carry out what Netanyahu's government's attempting to do. I don't think it's all the Israelis by far, but what his government's attempting to do, cleanse Gaza in a sense, so that they can push them out. If they can push them out into the Sinai, into Egypt or whatever, or push them back into the West Bank and take Gaza for themselves. Whatever their grand plan is.
Or the West Bank. I mean, I think with the Trump issue, how you said more Palestinians will get slaughtered at a faster rate, but it's just faster than what the Democrats would do. I mean, everyone's fear. Right now, Trump would probably just say, take the whole West Bank right now, versus the slow rate they're doing it at right now with You know,
Yeah,
and it was all against Hamas. Well, Hamas is not in the West Bank.
Well, yeah, but there is factions there, man. They are a lot. Like they've gone and it's not just Hamas, dude. It's other factions, whether it's Islamic Jihad, all these other different. I don't even know all the names of these different groups that are either resistance fighters or terrorists. Who knows?
And that gets to a bigger topic I did want to talk to you. I mean, about the characterization of resistance fighters in Palestine. You know, the characterization and the generalization, and not necessarily you. I'm saying the narrative that's talked about here in the States.
Yeah.
You know, when how are you gonna, especially when someone has a foot on your neck, and someone else is watching and they're not helping, and eventually you're gonna do what you can, grab something nearby to get this foot off your neck, and then when you do something to get that person's foot off your neck, they're like, "Oh, you're a terrorist." You know, are you terrorists for defending my land and my people?
Are you talking about Hamas though?
No,
like
I'm talking
Hamas
about the Palestinian resistance.
Palestinians are resisting against
who are
this.
Is there a resistance there though, or is
of course
it
there
Hamas?
is. Of course there is.
Now
Hamas is the most, well, you would say, a radical element of it, and unfortunately, when you oppress people this long, you know, they're gonna like they say, you're gonna create more terrorists. But to generalize that everyone is a Hamas sympathizer or with Hamas, well, no, people are with the resistance of this.
But that's the difficult thing to that. That's what I would love to be able to like talk with some Palestinians that have recently left there within the last 5 years, man, to see. Look at the Freedom Life movement of the Palestinians that were starting to protest against Hamas prior to October 7th and all this shit. Like they were stressing to the government in control, which was Hamas, that they were the ones that were creating these problems for them. Yes, Israel still had a blockade on them, but Israel had, all these settlers had stepped out of Gaza, dude. I mean, Israel used the IDF to forcibly remove, I don't even know what the number is, but a whole lot of fucking Israeli settlers in Gaza. And this is what some of the international community is arguing, is like there was tons, billions of dollars of international aid going into Gaza. Like, why was Hamas still, in the name of resistance, instead of in the name of building up their community and creating a better life for the Palestinians on the ground, why are they so gung-ho in the destruction of Israel? Like that's their only... Their lens is only on that, versus like trying to help let's create a Palestinian state, man. Let's bring something to the table, dude. They were taking out water pipes and using them for missile launchers and shit like that, dude. Like
the Hamas has come to try to have an agreement. There's been few, but more than what the monster Netanyahu has, and now you see the political pressure even from his own country, you know, especially when these hostages were found.
But they don't give a fuck about Palestinians. They just care about them hostages, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
right.
What
45,000 people counted dead. They don't care, but
because there's 100 hostages left.
And that gets to the topic of like when I tell you about these people in Israel, and I don't want to, of course, generalize it, but a lot of these people share these same radical beliefs.
I mean, did you see that clip that went viral online? That is disgusting clip about those two podcasters saying that, yeah, we should just eliminate them, and this is how a lot of Israelis feel, but they just don't want to say it. And these are like, I think the podcast is called a Nice Guy Podcast, and they're like portray as progressive Israelis, but I think the sentiment of Israel is very fascist and racist.
Of course it is, dude. They're religious fundamentalists, but this is the thing too. I think a segment of the Palestinian population is the same. We have a religious element into the mix here, that they're both wanting to eliminate each other, and that's what's difficult. Like, I watched this. There's this, God, what is the name of the podcast? I'll have to look it up for you and send you the clip later. But this dude, and he's a Jewish guy. He goes into West Bank. Goes and talks. It's like ask a Palestinian or ask an Israeli, and he does the same thing with the Israelis. And you see these horrible things that Israelis are saying, just like you mentioned about Palestinians. slaughtering them and all this. They don't care. They don't care about life. But the Palestinians also, and in my heart, I don't think it's all the Palestinians. I think I think a lot of Palestinians live in fear about criticizing Hamas and criticizing those who are claiming to be their resistance on the ground there, because they know what the oppression they faced with Hamas on the ground, that they don't always speak the truth, and that they're like, majority of the people this guy interviewed, and roughly, okay, these numbers are small, 20 people, 30 people, I think out of 20 or 30 people, like 2 people were like, we can live together. The rest were like, well, these Israelis can go back to wherever they came from. I mean, and even that alone, and that's what I'd like to ask your opinion about that too. Like with a lot of people that you protested with in the protest movement and stuff, like a lot of people really think that Israelis have some place to go back to.
When most of them, a lot of them have visas that they came from.
But they're 20%, dude. There's only 20% of people that can go back. Like, and dude, think about somebody that's born in 1950 in Israel.
And how many
they're 70 years old.
How many
dude.
Palestinians can go back to their motherland, occupied Palestine?
I don't know the exact percentage off the top of my head, but there has been the Israeli government has worked with moderate Palestinians to come back.
Moderate Palestinians, but that's what I'm saying. How do you expect
someone when under the throat of oppression to remain moderate? I don't think me and you would be moderate. I think me and you would be and just me knowing you as a person, I would say you'd be radicalized. Someone comes and harasses your family, even probably kills your family, come in, kicks you and your family out of your house on the daily, harass you with checkpoints, make you feel like you are a second-class citizen in your own land.
But you know why that is, right?
Bomb your children, kill you, shoot your children with their, you know what I'm saying? The daily oppression that Palestinians face, and then for them to, the only option for me and for any intelligent human being was become militant, defend your land, your family, just like Americans would. If China came and was treating...
Well, of course, but if you see the people in power also oppressing you, you're going to go against them too, just like the Palestinians attempted to do at one point, man, against Hamas and all that. It's not, I don't think it's so one-sided like that. Like, and this gets back to, like, Israelis, like, they can't just go back, dude. There's people born there in 1950, someone born in 1950 is 70 years old. People born in your year, my year, 77. They are born in Israel, dude. These people, there's no other solution. I personally think it starts with a 2-state solution, and it has to work into a confederation. These people have to learn to live together with one another. It's both those people have a right to their land according to their religions and according to their historical presence there. Like they both have a right. They have to find a solution to peace. So if you have Hamas that just Hamas is insistent on destroying the state of Israel. That's what the end game is for the so-called resistance that's there. It's the destruction of Israel, and they truly believe it. Like right now, they're motivated because they think they have international support behind it. More people are leaning towards looking at what Israel and it's right, dude. Like the state of Israel was a fucking mistake in my opinion. Also, for these people to come together and be like, yeah, we're gonna create a 2-state solution right now, 1948, the Balfour Declaration and all that bullshit. 2 people, there's Arabs already there, but these people can have that was crazy, dude.
As Malcolm X said, it was a white supremacist project. I mean, white supremacists
yeah, no doubt
went out and curved that land to what? They knew what they were doing in the beginning. They wanted to push the Arab population out of there. So since the beginning, this has been a white supremacist project, and once again...
What about the Arab Jews, man? There was a lot of Arab Jews that were getting kicked out of Iraq, Syria...
Oh yeah.
Tunisia, like there's a high percentage of those
and
that
Jordan,
went into Israel, man. So there was like
and
they factioned into 2 different sects, dude, which is crazy, dude. Like,
and unfortunately, I mean, like just like in any part of the world, you have your sections of, like, I know in Jordan, and what's the other country I'm trying to think of? What's the country? Saddam Hussein.
Iraq?
No, not Iraq. That Saddam Hussein invaded
Kuwait.
Kuwait. when they invaded Kuwait, and then at the end of that, they felt the Palestinians felt the most wrath. It wasn't even their fault, but because what's his name was siding with Saddam at the time. Who was the leader of early 1990? The dude that was with Clinton that had this closest to the deal.
An American dude or
No, Palestinian.
Arafat.
So a lot of the Arab world felt that when he teamed up with Saddam, they took that as a betrayal. So after they pulled out Kuwait, they punished a lot of the Palestinians. So yeah, a lot of
dude. The Arafat made some mistakes himself. They tried to overthrow the king of Jordan. They fucking caused some chaos in Lebanon, and that was the whole shit when our Marines got blown up over there, and then the Palestinians were pushed out of Lebanon into Tunisia, whatever the name of the country is. Not pronouncing that right, but so there is that like animosity, I think, towards Palestinians, but collectively I think the Arab people see it as like a struggle between Islam and Judaism.
I wouldn't say Judaism. I would say Zionism.
Yeah, but the whole
I think it is overplayed and overrepresented of how much that is hate towards our Jewish brothers. I think that's a very small segment versus I think it's a bigger segment that hate the Arab population.
You don't believe that Arab Muslims see Jews, people that belong to the Jewish religion, as second-class citizens? It's in Islam, man. The jizya. The Hamas wants to create an Islamic state, and no other Islamic state's still doing this. Thank God. But they put a tax on Christians. They put a tax on what they see, because they see their religion is progressive in the sense that Muhammad is the final prophet. Christians and Jews are below them. You want to exist in our society, you pay a protection tax. Hamas, their idea of Islamic State wants to put a jizya tax on those people, man. So there is religious overtones there that have been like, this has been, it's well known in the Arab country. I'm sure you can talk to, and that's why I'd love to have some Arabs or Palestinians here one day to discuss like how they've been brought up to think about Jews, and if they look at them like saying, hey, if it's because we try to paint it like, and yes it is, dude. I'm not denying it's not a nationalistic statehood conflict, but because those other prejudice exist between these two groups.
I'm sure, of course, it exists out there, but I don't think it's as big as what the American media makes it seem, or the American narrative makes it seem.
I don't even think the American media pushes it that much, man. The American media is horrible at like getting into details about everything that's going on. Like, dude, you don't hear that much about the extreme Jews that want, like, those red heifers they want to sacrifice.
Oh, yeah.
Like, dude, that's a religious element that the Jews, the crazy ass Jews, are on top of. Like we're gonna sacrifice these cows in front of the mosque, and then we'll build a third temple, like right there. Like there's crazy fucking religious elements into this.
There's a reason that they don't push that in the media. Just like they're right now apologize or saying that it was an accident that American got killed by the IDF.
Yeah.
Israel can do no wrong. Even if this would have been any Arab country that killed an American, we probably would have bombed this half of the country already. But Israel did it. Oh shit, it was an accident.
Yeah.
But
excuses, man. They keep on giving excuses to Israel, dude, and that's
to make it clear. Our war is not with our Jewish brothers, because many Jewish brothers that condemn this, but our war is with Zionism and the Zionist state and this European project.
But like I've told you many times before, what is Zionism to you? What is there's different elements of Zionism that like even the creation of this state. I mean, Jewish ethno state. I mean, like you said yourself, it was a mistake from the beginning. Yeah.
But I think you believe that we can't go back and undo that mistake.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think we're at that point. I mean,
so you admit it was a mistake, but you don't think that we can go back and undo it.
Yeah, it's it's a tricky one, man. I mean, what are you gonna get? Like, let's look at the West Bank alone. You got 700,000 Israeli settlers over these past 2 decades that have put up new settlements.
I mean, remove the settlers.
But Gaza's a prime example. Gaza's a prime example. Look how hard, we'd have to look it up, but what was the number of settlers that were in Gaza? It was way less than that, dude. Way less, and Israelis are going to keep on pointing to, we did this in Gaza, look what happened. We did this in Gaza, look what happened. They still attacked us. We left you to yourselves for you to create a state. You guys voted put Hamas into power. Granted, like I really don't, in my heart, I don't believe like all the Palestinians wanted Hamas in power. They just wanted something different because the Fatah was corrupt themselves. So it was like lesser of evil kind of vote. They put Hamas in to see what they would do. They need a new vote. I would love to see what the Palestinians would want to do now, man. But most of them can't express themselves. The ones that are there can't express themselves to what they truly want, dude. They have to make it look like they're behind Hamas 100%. And granted, I think there are a lot now because Israel's radicalizing them, dude. Like you get your whole apartment complex bombed, dude, and all your family dies. Yeah, you will be radicalized.
Since 1948, they've been radicalized.
You know, and there's a lot though, dude.
I got a question for you because as you say that you believe the Jews have had the right to return to their Holy Land, correct?
Do I think they have a right?
You have stated like before, like hey, because you said this is their ancestral land. When I've talked about, hey, well, sending all these Jews that came from Europe back to Europe, and you're like, well, their ancestors lived there as well.
If it was 1948, I would tell you no. I would have said that was a big mistake trying to do that then. Looking at what was on the ground and how many Arabs had to be displaced and how they were doing it and all the other elements. But I mean,
so you don't think we could just? I mean, hey, go give them a European country, give them Montana. Now, hey, we're gonna give these back to the Arabs and give them back their homeland. And you guys, we got to stay for you here in Montana. You think Americans will do that? They're so pro-Zionist now. I wonder how many Americans would be like, hey, hell yeah.
They should have done that. They should have done that. They should have gave them Wyoming in 1948.
Yeah, they don't. They don't want to do that. They don't want the Jews over here either
because they were. Yeah, dude. There was prejudice towards Jews on the American side, dude.
Get them out of this continent. We don't want them in Europe. We don't want them in the States, so we'll just go throw them in the Arab world.
No doubt, man. No doubt. Yeah, do I believe they have a right to return? No. I don't. I really think that would be a key part. If I was a politician coming out, I would say a key part of trying to find peace in this region is to not allow any more foreign immigrants into Israel. As far as like because everybody with Jewish heritage right now has like Israel allows you to go over there, become a citizen,
go take someone's house.
Stop that shit. Yeah, dude, like stop that shit. But for the people, I'm just talking about the ones that are prior from 48 on to 2024 that are born there today, that have grown up in the land. They've built a connection. They live there. The society's built. Sure, man. Let all those stay. And dude, yeah, definitely. Even if you want to kick out, if there's a lot of settlers in the West Bank, that is one way they could dismantle it. You kick out the settlers in the West Bank that were born in fucking Brooklyn, New York, and shit, dude. Kick out all these settlers from Europe that are recent. That would be one way to do it. But there are a lot of settlers that are born there, man.
So what about the settlers that are born there? What about the Arabs since 1948 that had their land, their homes stolen and taken? Do you think that they should have a right to return to
the state
and receive what's theirs, their land, go back to their land?
That's tricky too, because then you're bringing in, let's just throw a number out there, hundreds of thousands of people into. Like if they want to go, if we're gonna create a border where the Palestinian state is, whether it's Gaza and West Bank, and then those people can return to there, sure. Especially if settlers leave those areas, but if we're talking higher up past the West Bank and all that shit, I think that's a tricky one, man.
Why is it tricky?
Well, especially because those people were kicked out in 48. And Israel has allowed some of those people, like I said, the ones that could prove ownership and all this they've allowed, but and it's very minimal, man. But just to have an influctuation of that many refugees coming into the land at that point, it's dealing with
refugees are people that, you know, they're not only they're refugees going back to what their homeland was, and going back to the point you're saying that settlers that were born there, but the house and the land you were born, you know, was stolen. So these people come back, are they not deserve the right to what is rightfully theirs and was stolen?
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Israel does do some of that with ones that can prove that they had ownership in those houses that were, and that's a whole big debate too, because some of those people left 1948 or 48, I think, well, and up to 67 when the war, all these different wars were happening. The Arab countries that were invading were telling those Arabs, Palestinians at the time, to vacate their houses. We would kick Israel's ass out, and then you would be back.
The right to return.
Yeah, granted, history would prove otherwise, but there was a portion of Arabs that stayed there at that point. That's why we still have 2 million Israeli Arab citizens that just waited it out and stayed there. And there was Israeli terrorist militias that went and kicked people out and killed them. It's a clusterfuck, man. But to try to bring some back and and proving, like, how do you, like, if your great grandfather owned a house in, let's say, Haifa, Israel, and maybe the property's demolished now, or maybe it's somebody's renting it,
or even if you,
like, do you let those people go back to that land?
I mean,
I think that makes the situation even worse versus trying to just create a two-state solution and then eventually melting that two-state into a confederation of some type, where there's Palestinians and Israelis that both have like a government, but they're living amongst one another.
Or one state, secular Palestinian state.
That would never happen. I don't think with the
powers that be of the world right now.
Well, no, I don't think the powers of the Palestinian powers, the people, what you call the resistance, I don't think they want a secular state. I think they've been radicalized to the point.
I think
they had, like, with under Arafat and them, they were attempting that, but Hamas and all these other radicalized, and we haven't even discussed the bigger problem in the picture that I think is crucial to finding peace with the Palestinians. Iran, dude. Iran is using the Palestinian people in the name of, like, standing up to Israel for their own selfish purposes.
Is it Israel or is it the West? And is it
What do you mean?
What I mean is this coalition behind Palestine, and is it a coalition to empower their own states more, or is there a coalition and a sentiment that's been there for a while of the West getting out of place they have no business in? Like right now with Iraq wanting U.S. to get their military bases out, and the U.S. is like, yeah, fuck you. And how do you think Arab people feel? Just like China built bases here, and we're like, yo, get the hell out, and they didn't.
Yeah.
You think Americans would just go, all right, no, we fucking take arms overnight. But when Arabs do it, it's like, oh, you Islamic terrorists.
So, but what are you asking if this is what Iran? Are you asking, is that what Iran wants? Like,
no, I was, because when you said the state of Iran, but I know a lot of the state, I'm sure at the end of the day, is only for their own self-interest.
Yeah, that's why they create all these different promises.
I mean more like the people of Lebanon, the people of Iran, the people the people of those lands, the brothers and sisters of the Palestinians, that, you know, just see the death that the West has brought. And not to say that they don't have their own issues, but I mean right now they're carrying out a genocide unapologetically by the West, the U.S. unapologetically backing them. I mean, these people want the devil, what they call the devil. How can you call someone who slaughters children and women, we are the devil, foreign policy wise?
Yeah.
And a lot of Americans, you know, back this policy in the name of ridiculous, in the name of self-defense. And that's interesting, right? You're carrying out genocide, but you're self-defense.
Well, to a degree, though, I think Israel. I mean, in Israel's defense, I think, and regardless of the political shit with Israel, the mistake of creating a state, all that shit, they are what they are now. They're the state of Israel. I think they are surrounded by fanatical enemies on all sides that we talk about. Yeah, we don't want the genocide to happen against Palestinians, but do we want a genocide to happen against the Jews, the Israelis, whatever, the Zionists? Let's just even say the Zionists. Do we want a genocide to happen against the Zionists?
Well, the colonizers. I mean,
do we want another genocide? Like,
I think it's all about the framing and the language you're using, right? You said genocide towards the Jewish. I mean, was it a genocide towards the plantation owners when the slave rebellions rebelled? I mean, when people rebel, towards colonizers and oppressors, it's like, oh, how dare you? Like,
it would be more than a rebellion, though, man. I think we're talking about the destruction of a statehood of people, and it's not just like white Israeli European. And they're not even full white, dude. They're mixed. They're still Semitic people that were mixed with European blood. There's Arab Jews. There's African Jews. There's 2 million Arabs there that are like Muslim Arabs. There's Christians. There's Baha'is. There's Sufis. There's it's a diverse state in comparison to other states around it. And then you have all these other states that are hell bent on the destruction of that state, and Iran is the motivator for all this. Whether they got these proxies with the Houthis and Hezbollah and all these other little factions in Syria and Iraq. So, would it be right? I mean, like, if you could magically snap your fingers and disarm Israel, and then all those people just do what they do, and then no one come to their defense.
You're saying, would it be right to be anti-Semitic?
No, I'm not even saying anti-Semitic. I'm just saying allowing. I mean, yeah, we protest against genocide of the Palestinians, but we don't think about how.
Well, it's a genocide of. Let's look at it from the perspective of human beings. If you're a human being that is on stolen land and enforcing, using forces of violence to stay on that, then yeah, we're gonna do what it needs to do.
But genocide, man, genocide.
Yeah, just self-defense.
But you're talking about it. The state has already been established.
So if the
but that's a good way to put it. But
the Trumpers took the White House.
But that's a great way to put it, though. Looking at it from the standard of human beings, dude. Human beings. If we're true to that, if we're true to being a human, dude. Human beings have the right to be everywhere, dude. It's even like when the natives were killing settlers here. And at one point,
I never said that our Jewish brothers, Christian brothers, whatever religion you are, shouldn't dictate whether you have the right to be there. It's, it's the morality of it. I mean, you're on stolen land. You took this. Was not rightfully yours by force. So,
but that's another argument too. The debate could be that the League of Nations came together at that time and gave it, like, they split it. They split it with the Arabs and they split it with the Jews. The Zionists.
The European powers came.
The European powers, the League of Nations, whatever. And they gave, but dude, then even some of the Arabs at that point, they weren't looking at it like a Palestine. There was even Arabs at that point that were looking like nationalism was a whole brand new thing in this region at the time, and there was some that wanted it to be a greater part of Syria. So there was Arab movement that they weren't even thinking of creating a Palestinian state. So they wanted Syria, but these European leaders were like, well, we're gonna make two states at this time. So,
and from the research that I've done, a lot of the Arab people had no problem with that. They were welcome. Hey,
yeah, oh yeah.
And the problem came when you want to kick me out of my house and take my land and kill my family. That's when there was no issue with welcoming Jewish brothers to live in that land.
Yeah, but it wasn't so one-sided. The Jews weren't just coming in, let's kill all the Arabs. There was Arab
I mean, it's
people that started bullshit too, that killed Jewish settlements.
I mean, but
and then it was tit for tat.
well,
Then
yeah,
you did have like
you're gonna kill someone that's on, like, just like with the European colonists here, right? I mean, they came, and at first the natives were, hey, we'll teach you how to, farm and survive on this land. And then at certain points, like, you're killing, and they turned around and killed them and took their land. At a certain point, you're gonna use force to stop them.
Oh, of course.
But then but that's what I'm saying. You use force to stop evil, and like I said, you're looking at it from the human being perspective. Hey, it's not about being a Jew, it's not about being a white man. It's about, hey, you're coming by force and taking my land and killing my family. I'm going to use by force what I have by any means necessary to defend it.
But what I'm saying is, like, it wasn't all by force at one. It wasn't just like they came, invaded. It's hard to compare it to the shit that happened here, because I think here with the Native Americans is totally a lot different in the sense that there was no like governing body that came in. Like there wasn't, like, the Ottoman Empire already occupied that region.
Well, then
you had the British that occupied the region. Then you had all these different empires.
We did have a governing body. You had the United States of America. We started off with our 13 colonies, and then we expanded westward.
Yeah, but you didn't have a governing body that was like, we're going to decide whose land is what. Well, after they started to conquer people, but you had people in Israel that came together and decided to split the land.
You did. You had many presidents, the Louisiana Act, and before that and after that, many presidents that had treaties with Native Americans. Hey, we're giving this land, we'll take you this land. And then
but after the fact of them coming and conquering and more and more westward expansion,
that's what I'm saying.
And
the natives
continue to conquer.
You want the
in 1948, there wasn't like that much. Like Israel didn't even have that much of an army. They had little militias.
Oh, you're
and
right.
shit,
And they came, and the Palestinians said, hey, just like the natives, hey. Just like, many indigenous people worldwide, we came with open arms, cool, and then you started killing us and taking our land.
No, but that's not true though, dude. Like it's not so one-sided like that, dude. You had
where's the complexity in? You're talking about in Israel.
In Israel, you had the Mufti, like the British appointed Mufti Husseini or whatever his name was. They appointed him as like the head dude of fucking Jerusalem and the Golden Mosque and all that area down there. Mm. So the British imperial powers are appointing a Muslim power at that time, and this same Mufti starts causing chaos, spreading rumors about Jewish settlers and how they're wanting to take all of Jerusalem and then.
Was it rumored?
Yes, yeah.
Well, they did it though.
But after the fact, they did after the wars. So this is like in the 1920s, 1930s. I'm talking about prior to the wars. And this is why I say it's so much different than like natives, like Europeans, westward expansion, manifest destiny. They're coming, they're expanding, and then once they realize they're defeated, the United States is dividing up little reservations, dude. It's different in the sense that you had an imperial element that was trying to dictate who was gonna like operate in certain areas, granting the Mufti power in that region, giving him the power, and then this Mufti's causing a lot of problems with the Jewish community throughout time. And the Israelis are not innocent at the same period in history either, dude. There's militias forming. They are militias going in and killing Arabs and stuff. But even when the Arabs, like there was I think it was one of the first riots in 1920 something, and I wrote a little bit about this when I was going to do like an intro for this, but I'll record that another day anyway. But so the riots in 1920 something happened in this area. There's like 168 Jews that are killed. There would have been way more, but a lot of Palestinians protected them. Because the Jews and the Palestinians were living side by side in somewhat of harmony at the time. There was a lot of Palestinians that protected these Jews, but then after, and this is where I think things get like weird, because like you have that one slaughter, and I don't know off the top of my head, was that the first attack? Was it an Arab attack against these settlers? Because there was little feuds and shit going on prior to that, but after that is when the Israelis get way more radicalized, and they're even radicalized against the British imperial powers. They blow up the King David Hotel. They bomb somewhere in Europe at in France, I believe it was. Like there's fucking Israeli terrorists that are trying to kick the imperial powers on. This is what kind of gets British out. British wants to let go of the whole region, dude. And then this is when they ask, what is it, the League of Nations to come together and be like, we need to find a solution. So at that point, you have a League of Nations, whether because they're European or what, and I agree, dude. Like, yeah, the League of Nations should be multicultural. Like I believe in a world government, and I really do think we need a better functioning UN that could solve this problem. Like, we could take a vote on it, and granted now, yeah, the voting would lean towards the Palestinians anyway, man. It would probably be more with what you guys want. But you had a League of Nations that decides like who's gonna get what, and then they disagree about it, and then wars break out, and then wars conquer. Like, Israel keeps pushing more and more, conquering. 2024, here we are talking about it in my little cave in Samuel, Arizona.
Here we are witnessing, and our government who's supporting and pushing this help pushing this genocide here in 2024. And what's the solution? My solution is stand with humanity and stand with my brother and sisters with the Palestinian resistance.
But let me ask you then, what is your solution? Tell us, what is your
what
would be?
I don't think I that'd be like asking me what the solution is for Black America. I mean, I don't think I can be ally, but I don't think it's my say to say what a solution is. You know what I'm saying? What's the solution for what's going on in the Philippines? What's my solution is going on? And
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Fair, man. That's fair.
I think a Palestinian would have to answer that. You know, all I could do is offer my allyship towards this imperial beast.
Do you have any type of idea as far as, I mean, do you want peace between Israelis, Palestinians living in that region together?
Of course, but
nobody leaving, nobody like just having a state, whether it's one state, two states, confederation, like just those people living with each other together, man. Do you see that? Like,
of course, I want.
Is that in your
I
ideas?
want Ukrainians and Russians living together. You know what I'm saying? I want peace with all my brothers and sisters. But there's powers that be, one of the biggest power right now, that doesn't want that. Why? Because their empire runs on bloodshed. So.
And you believe that's the United States of America?
Yes.
All right. We got you.
the Death Star, the stormtroopers that are carrying out this genocide, and it's crazy, bro. Like when you like right now, like reality's so more dark than fiction. But yeah, like, and I'm just speaking about Americans because I've grown up and lived in America.
Yeah.
Like they see Hunger Games or they see like all these movies and they're like, oh, these poor people, like, we gotta stand up with the resistance. Or what's the other movie with the blue people? The
Avatar.
And they're like,
yeah.
And then in reality, they're like, oh, fuck these people. And
when it's some real shit actually
happening, like, brown and black people here in the States getting killed by the state, or, our native brothers and sisters, or like I said, in Palestine or wherever it so be, in the global south.
Yeah.
They're like, fuck them. Fucking terrorists. Fucking communists, kill their ass.
No, yeah.
It's
it goes back to the whole education of people and being aware of things and reading. It has a lot to do with people reading books, man.
Oh, dude.
People just
don't read any.
They TikTok. They get into little news stories that are like horrible. Like it's.
I remember the idea of you wanting to open up that coffee shop.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that, and I'm sure you would probably sell books there, right?
Yeah. I want to have books on the walls. Like,
I wonder how much you would profit of that, because just to maintain it. I know you're not profiting just to like profit for splurge, but profit to maintain it. But I wonder if that even capable with how I saw a statistic the other day of how many Americans do not read, man. We wonder why, like, all these Trumpers believe fucking these crazy ass conspiracies, because.
And it goes back to our education system, dude. Like, are we not like? I mean, were you taught critical thinking in high school?
No.
Either was
I think both
dude.
of us are taught in our household.
Self-taught, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Self-taught, man.
And maybe maybe we're speaking from a point of privilege. I don't know. Someone might come like, you guys are privileged that you had parents that are, I don't know.
Yeah,
But
that
I
were
think
more involved a little bit with us.
more involved.
For sure.
But I think it is the lack of critical thinking, the lack of education that is sad in this society, man. Like, and
Yeah.
it's hard to have actual dialogue and conversations when people are just not bringing facts.
Yeah,
We're not
yeah.
talking about what's in reality. Like I said, with these Trumpers, man. I mean, they're conspiracies, and it's like I think these are the signs of this decaying empire. I honestly do. I think the election showed that. Of
Yeah,
course,
dude, we're stuck in this duopoly, man. It's going to be very hard to get out of it.
and just not only the duopoly, but the lack of funding here we get at home, the lack of social services, and then the funding for these imperial wars in the billions.
Yeah, no.
And with
yeah,
the
no doubt,
duopoly
man.
being in control of it, I think it's only going to get worse. I think whoever wins this election, that's why it's kind of like put your seatbelt on, because we're in for a hell of a ride.
Yeah.
And the growing far right is going to become dangerous, whether Trump wins or not.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt, dude. And that's, I mean, you mentioned the coffee house idea that I had, and that's something that I want to start talking about more. Like if this becomes a podcast or whatever with other people and us talking with people and stuff. So like with this poem coffee house thing, I would like to make it kind of like an intellectual center, a center for the arts, a center like, I mean, poem stands for Peoples of Earth Movement. It's kind of the acronym for it.
That's a nice acronym.
So I would like basically what it would be is like memberships. People pay a membership to come to the coffee. I mean, granted, even if you don't got a membership, you can come buy a coffee or
But
whatever
to sustain it.
But it's almost like a community, yeah, to sustain it, and also out of that money that's generated by the memberships, I want to give people universal basic income, like let's just say $500 a month, man, something that people can fall off on, whatever. Yeah, for sure, man, and that's the whole thing, is like creating, and my belief is creating centers like this, especially in a town like this, like, it's working class town, mines shut down, swings fairly conservative, people that are caught up in those bullshit conspiracies and all that. Like, now granted, would it get fucking firebombed or something because they think like
You're communist,
it's a communist or whatever they think, like Islamic, whatever. But it would be a center for people to come together, listen to music, have shows there, have concerts, have intellectual discussions, maybe have a studio like this in the back where there'd be a community radio thing, whatever it is. And I think also the members, we would all participate and create a board and create ideas of what we could do with it, man.
Dude, that idea would be great, man.
That's what I want to do, man. So whenever you're ready to get on, man, I'll put you on the list, bro.
Even this podcast, dude, I was so I've been looking at podcasts, dude, and like 95% of them, like, are just like no substance or just horrible, dude.
Oh, I know.
Like
I know.
our conversation is probably like, if we had the right like platform.
And I think what's important about things though too, man, is like right now we're just bullshitting, we're talking about some of the issues that are happening, but I think what's important, like if with a podcast like this, is also having some action behind it, getting people to come and join the poem movement or donate some money to this cause or whatever. If you got something going on that you know about and you want to plug it in, you see these cats like Joe Rogan and all this, they got millions of followers, dude. Like,
and then horrible stuff. Not horrible.
Yeah,
I mean,
dude. There's some good shit on there too, man. But they could be doing something with that power that they got, that they're reaching the people, man.
I mean, there's a lot of good ones out there too. There's Mark Lamont Hale. He has a good podcast. There's a lot of good ones out there, but I think they just don't have the funding and support of these bigger ones, and it's sad because these bigger ones that have way more subscribers and way more money, and they're just no content. And even on the political platform, dude, like, obviously the right wing fucking no substance over there, but on the left, man, it's not critiquing. There's no critique. They're so scared to critique
Harris. Like,
Yeah.
why is that fear? Like, why we should critique her because we want to push her left. Instead, it's just like you critique her, you're a Trumper, or you're a Russian bot,
that's stupid, man.
And to make us the enemy, us, who are actually true to our principles. When and I get it. Like I said, we can have a conversation, dialogue about, strategically, what should we do, especially in Arizona where me and you live.
Yeah.
Where Arizona's going to be big for this election.
Yeah.
But
battleground state, supposedly.
There's no even dialogue for that, man, and especially on these big platforms. Like,
but you're not taking place in the battle, man. What's up?
Yeah, man, because I just don't back fascism, whether it's light fascism.
But here's my thing, dude. I keep telling you this too, dude. It's not about your conscience. You're not backing. Like,
you want me to vote my fear?
I don't even like. And you may think I'm crazy,
or
dude.
sell me. You're the Kamala campaigns.
I don't. Well, I'm not trying to sell you, man. But I don't support 90% of what the Democrats support. But I can.
Why would you vote for them?
Because I know it's a joke, dude. I know it's so like politics is. It's not extremely relevant in the sense, but like it is because of what the opposition is right now. It's very important. But at the same time, I know like we can vote, put those people into power, and then go on with whatever we want, whatever action we're gonna create. Whether it's podcasts, whether it's you with protesting for whatever causes you're at, whether it's creating a poem coffee house. There's other organizing. There's other actions that take place. Raising our families, all that shit, dude. It's out there, man.
I mean, to say that there's nothing to lose, but I just.
Like it's not. You can't go with your conscience, bro. I don't like.
I mean, to me, man, as in my views, I'm gonna fight whoever. And the fight's gonna be harder against Kamala, but I've been suppressed.
Harder?
I mean, I'm sorry, harder against Trump.
Yeah.
But either way,
this dude's gonna send in this dude's gonna send in the military with people starting protests, and they're gonna red tag people. Who knows? If that's true, hopefully our Constitution protects us still. But
the Democratic Party won't. And this is what's interesting. What's Harris's? Is it Watts? What's his name?
Watts.
I was mispronouncing it too. Tim Watts, dude. When he was during the uprisings of 2020, he sent in the National Guard, and Trump praised him. Yeah, so if he's the progressive golden boy and he did it, you don't think the top cop? But
you gotta give him credit though, man. I mean, not credit. You gotta.
But they're gonna send the military.
You gotta give him the benefit. The benefit of the doubt is that there was riots and it was getting out of control. That wasn't the majority of the protesters that were out there, dude.
They weren't, but if something
weaponized
the National Guard to do it.
But what do you do though, dude? Like if downtown Tucson's burning down and shit, do you think Mayor Romero should just stand by? Because of her, like she kind of supports the cause, but that's not all the people that are protesting.
Of course, that's what I'm saying. But so you don't take you use your pigs to de-escalate those situations. But you're sending a message when you bring in the National Guard. You know what I'm saying?
So you're sending a message to the pigs too, bro. the pigs will probably. Honestly, the pigs is worse. I think the Guard would have a little bit more self-control.
First-hand experience. They're both horrible. First-hand experience, but your point to being like, oh, the fear of them using
was the Guard when you protested U of A, they had the Guard there?
No, they had tanks. So does that count? I mean, I don't know if does TPD have tanks?
I don't know.
I don't think TPD has tanks, so I mean, that answers the question, right?
Well, you hear about like some of these police departments militarizing, so who knows?
I don't. They had tanks there. I couldn't say if
they had tanks at the U of A.
Yeah, dude, big ass tank.
I didn't know that.
Not tanks.
You didn't take no pictures of that shit?
Yeah, dude, I got pictures.
Like tanks?
Yeah, dude, tanks. Not tanks in the way you think of, but they're.
Yeah, no, heavy. I know what you're talking about. Those heavy on.
I don't want you thinking it was like ones that are gonna. Yeah, but they still had
the Marines are coming in.
They had tanks.
Damn.
Would I be surprised that TPD had that? TPD had that? Nah. And that's what I'm saying, dude. Like as look at the left, dude. A couple years ago we were talking about, we were talking about abolishing the police, but there was a lot on the left. The liberals are even talking about defunding the police. How do we go from defunding the police and now we're voting for the top cop? And you're telling me that she's not going to use these methods? Yeah, she's not going to be as forceful as Trump. Her rhetoric's not going to be as bad.
Didn't she do something God, man,
And that's what it's like.
I could go to Google right now, but I shouldn't. But didn't Kamala do something in California that was gonna make the police more accountable? There was something going on, and granted, yeah, that sounds stupid for me to even say this because it's like a tiny thing compared to everything else as far as the bullshit. But like that's what I think.
I mean,
like
is she Trump? Is she gonna say, "Hey, we're gonna allow the cops to kill the community"? No, she's not saying
because,
that.
Yeah,
but to say that she won't use the state to suppress people protesting a genocide, of course she will, because the Biden administration did it. I think she probably be even more forceful than Biden. So that's when I told you, like, you're asking me to vote for someone that. You know what I'm saying? Is against my needs, against who I am and what I believe.
No, but honestly,
and even strategically, I mean, and do we have shit to lose, man. I mean, it's an interesting conversation and dialogue because we have so much to lose with Project 25. We have so much to lose. Like, let's say Trump gets another 2 Supreme
women's
Court,
rights, trans
women's
rights, all the kind of
Palestine.
immigrant rights.
We have much
Palestine.
to lose.
There's
But to me, it's a loss. You know, ones at a faster rate. The neo-fascists are worse than your typical fascists, but they're both fascists. And when history judges me, I don't want them to judge me harshly. I want them to be like, hey, at least when we lose, man, at least I want history to record that, just like in the history of oppressed people, there was people that fought against this. Because I think that's about the point we're at right now. You know, I think if Harris gets in, shit escalates in Ukraine. Shit continues to escalate. I think Netanyahu's gonna do a October surprise attack.
Like an anniversary.
Yeah,
of
and
what
I think
happened.
that's what's so dumb about the Democratic Party.
Damn,
Going back to
crazy,
Palestine,
dude, right now.
Netanyahu wants Trump. So if he escalates that by whether he attacks Lebanon or Iran, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And pulls United, not pulls because we fucking ride their dick, but pulls us into that war.
Yeah.
You don't think that's gonna affect the election in November?
Yeah, for sure.
That's
bro,
and he wants that. He wants that because Trump gets in, you know.
Yeah, he's on board all that shit.
Yeah, and it falls straight to his plan. And like even strategically wise, like Democratic Party doesn't see that. Biden, you don't see, like you said, he's playing them like a fool, and like Harris, not even from the point of doing the right thing of humanity, but let's say for the point of you winning this election, like. Strategically,
politically,
yeah. But Jill Stein and all these states have. I'm not even sure we've seen these polls, dude. It's crazy. Jill Stein has more of the arrow vote, than Harris in all these states. And for her thinking she can just lose that, and I guarantee she can lose a lot of the youth vote too. Michigan, Jill Stein has. I think that's the biggest. She has like 48%.
Oh, I know, dude. I said that too, dude. That night when they rejected the delegates, the Arab delegates, the Palestinian delegates, or whatever you want to call them. I said it then, like this is a big moment right here because we might need that 5%, whatever it is, to win.
You need everything,
you know. Win. And then what happens 2 weeks later? A week later, RFK steps out. All those RFK voters that may go over, they're definitely probably going to go to Trump.
And he did have he's an idiot for selling out to Trump. I don't know what Trump promised him, but I think
he promised him a thing in administration, so he's looking at it like, I can get my agenda. It's politics, dude. You know, they're looking at it like, same with Tulsi Gabbard.
Well, I think Harris too. Kennedy was like, she wouldn't answer my phone calls. The way they, I think the way they just treated him, I think he kind of was like, all right, well, fuck you then. I'm gonna support Trump. But his speech on the way out about how you said, like, there's no democracy on the Democratic Party. I think it was interesting, even the food, like he said, like most of our food being poisoned, and like they don't even
these
use
other
it.
issues that are out there that were course, like, it's all corporate bullshit just to pump more, like fucking make more money.
He touched a lot of key issues. Of course, is he kind of weirdo, and like especially on the vaccine
conspiracy.
Thing. And the media's gonna push that, but that to ignore the substance stuff that he said in that, it was like, dude, like I think. It's interesting, man. But regardless of who wins, you know, the empire, and when I say empire, American empire, all empires are my enemy, and all empires fall. And I think this one's in decay. I truly do, and I think the Ukraine war and the genocide of Palestine is showing that, because even though the genocide is horrific, the heart of the resistance is only growing stronger. And like, you know, I remember 8 years ago, dude. Not even 8, was it the right to return protest? Was that 2016, 17?